Hey guys, welcome back to the third part of the integrated Document360 into your app series, and this is going to be the most complicated part since we're going to be retrieving the results from the API into our app. So I want to introduce you to a tool called Postman, and basically what this allows you to do is just test APIs, because we can just type them into Safari, but sometimes that doesn't work, as you'll see when we try to do it with the API which we're going to use today. And that's also just because it needs to be encoded, and we're going to be using headers, so we're not going to be just using one single URL string, so it might be a little confusing if you've never used headers before. But the first thing we need to do is, if we go to Document360 and click on a mobile app, what we need to do is you need to go to Settings, Advanced API Tokens, and I've already created a token here, and I don't really mind showing it because I'm not really going to use this at all. It's just a trial, and yeah. So this is our API key, and the only one we're going to really be using is get, because we just want to get all of the data, and then we're going to show it in our app. So the first thing I want to do is copy this, and I'm going to go back to Xcode, and I'm going to create a new file, and this is going to be managing all of our URLs and data. I'm going to call it data management. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the let API token, and this is what this is. I'm just going to copy and paste this in, because this is the API token, and this is the first thing we need. Now the second thing we need is to get the base URL, and if we go to Document360, if we read the API documentation, if we go to requests, it tells you that the base URL is this. So I'm going to create a new variable with that. Why can't I copy this? Okay, it doesn't matter, I'll just remember it. So what I'll do is base URL equals https API hub dot document360.io /v1 /, and now what we can do is we can actually begin. So the first thing what we want to do is we want to be able to get these 5 categories on the start page of our app. So if we go to simulator, actually I'll just run it. So if we run it, we want the 5 categories to be at the start page of this, and to do that what we need to do is we need to get those categories. So I'm not actually going to be doing anything with this, we're just going to be getting the data in this episode. So what I'll do is we need to go to Xcode, and we need to actually create the categories. And if we go back to the requests, we can see to get a single request we need to go base URL, and then this is for articles, but you'd replace that with categories, and then you would you need to get the project version ID, and to do that, that's where we use Postman. So if we go to Postman, where is it? Here we go. So I'm going to create a new collection. I'm going to call this demo, and go to demo, add a request, and this is going to be called project ID. And what we do is we need to use the URL https actually wait, let me just copy and paste this base URL, it's just easier. So copy, put that there, and then we need to do project versions. So if we try and send this now, you'll see we don't have a valid API token, and that's because we haven't actually put one in. So what we're going to do is create a new key, and if we go to headers, create a new header, and we don't need to see any of these, so we can hide these auto-generated one. We're going to create a new header API token, and then we need to put our actual API token in there. So if I copy and paste this, we can put this in here, and now if I send this, you can see we get our data, and the only one we need is this ID. So if we just copy and paste this is the only one we really need. We don't actually need to be running any of this in the Xcode, but the next things we do will be running in Xcode. So I'm going to create the project version ID and just paste that in there. And now we can easily create the categories by just combining them. So if I do let categories equals, so first of all we have the base URL, and then we have project versions, and project versions slash, then we have a project version ID, and then we have slash categories, and then we do this API token is equal to we do this API token, because this is up here, and then so this is the URL which we need to get. But you'll see if I copy and paste this, copy, and I can just do this in Safari actually. If I just paste, wait, why am I doing it here? If I just paste this in here, it won't work. Oh wait, actually no, that's not really gonna work, because basically this won't work because the API token, if you see, it has a plus in it, and that doesn't really work in URLs because it usually has to encode it. So what we have to do is use a header, and to do that what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to view controller, and I'm going to create a request. Oh, actually I can just create a function. Why didn't I think of that? So what I'm going to do is create a request, create request, and what we'll take as an input is URL string. So that is what this is, and we will have to return a URL request. So we can create the URL first using the URL string, string URL string. Then we create the request. It has to be a var since we're going to change our header later. Var request is equal to URL request URL, and then we can set the value. So this is like setting a header. Oh, we need to force something like this. So we're going to set a value, and this is going to be value of API token. This is this, and it's for the field API token. Okay, and then we can just return this request. So this is basically what we're doing in Postman over here, the key, and then this is the actual API token, and this is what we've done over here as well. So if you go to view controller, now what we can do is we can just we can get the response like a normal request, like a normal API call. So if we create a request here and create request using that function we created, and this is going to be for categories because this was the string we created earlier. And if I try and create a URL session now, session.shared data task with request, okay, and we will need the parameters, which is data response error in, and now we can just get the data variable how we always do. Let me just format this. Okay, there we go. And now, oh, that was why it wasn't giving me the autocorrect. Okay, there we go. And now we can just create the let JSON string, and we will pass it in the next tutorial. Next part, since this is already getting really long. String data encoding .utf8, and we can print the JSON string. So run this now. We forgot to do .resume at the end. Okay. And there we go. So now we have the data, and what I'm going to do is just quickly copy and paste this so that it's a bit more clear. Go back to Safari, JSON viewer, and this is a good website because you could just paste your data in and it shows you it here. So this is our data, and you can see these are the 5 categories, and we're going to parse them in the next video since that requires a whole video because there's so many structs here. But these are the 5 structs: settings, analytics, drive, homepage builder, and where is it? Getting started. If I go back to here are the 5 things, and now you can see the articles inside. It gives us these article IDs. So I'm going to create these are actually category IDs. So I'm going to create 2 more functions. One of them will be to get the categories out of this, the articles inside of this category, and then the next one will be to get the article, but we probably won't need that since all we need is the website. So let me just create the function. We'll go to data management again, and this will just be our class where we can keep all of the functions. I recommend doing this in any app, and create a function, create URL for category ID, and the category ID is basically just category ID is just these IDs of the categories. Category ID, that is a string, and it will return a string since it's just creating the URL. And what we'll do is just return base URL and categories slash category ID. Where is it? There we go. And the question mark just means headers. So if I add the API token there. And so basically this is just, APIs are basically just combining these different elements to get what you want. So this creates the URL for the category. So if I go back to the view controller, and if we run this again, we will get the same data. Copy this, put it into here, and let's say we want to get this article, this what's this, like this sort of oh wait, no, we actually need to get this ID, since this is the category ID. So yeah, the categories are actually this. These are the article IDs, but we won't be using those. So this is the ID we want. If we want to get this category, then what we can do, for now I can just copy this, but in the next thing we will actually parse it and then just get this from code. So I'll go to Xcode, and let's say we want to use this. So this is our category ID, and we will create the let first category equals create URL for category. Category ID is this, and now we can just replace this. We can comment out this and create the request for create request URL string first category. If we run this, we will get this. Let's just copy and paste this to show you what it really looks like, and format, and yeah, there we go. So now it just gives you these 2 categories, and if you want to go into articles, then you can just copy these article IDs and it will return it. So yeah, sorry if this was a really long confusing video, but it's just really confusing, and Postman is quite a useful tool for just getting the project version ID. There we go. So yeah, in the next tutorial I'm going to be passing all of this data. We'll be passing this and then the things before this. If I can just click. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're just going to be passing all of this data, creating structs, and yeah. See you guys in a future video, probably tomorrow. So yeah, bye.